Welcome back to the Reseller Journey Podcast. And in this episode, we got J-Ride. We got Jake with J-Ride Flips. He's going to be giving us some tips and strategies on how we can get started in growing our reselling business, but also deep diving on some of the secrets that he might be applying to his business that resellers might not be aware of. So let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into it. What's going on, Jake?
How's it going, man?
Good. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate your time. I don't want to waste your time, so let's get right into it. What sparked your interest in the world of reselling, and why did you specifically choose eBay as your platform?
Yeah, so I kind of don't like this word, but I've been an entrepreneur kind of my whole life. I've done door-to-door sales for a while. I've run a few different companies. Some of them have been successful. Some of them have been complete and utter failures. So just all part of the journey. Just one day. So I had a pest control company that was doing really well here in my local town. And then one night I was just on YouTube. I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk, good old Gary V. And he was doing his trash talking little series. I think there's like 6 or 7 episodes where he just goes to garage sales. He picks things up and then he lists them on eBay to sell. And I saw that he really liked mug life. So I started going to thrift stores and started looking at mugs. Mugs are a pretty terrible niche to sell in, to be honest. Like I've sold like maybe 15 mugs over the last 2 years that I've been doing eBay, but that's how it started. The very first thing I sold was a Christmas mug. And it all came from Gary V. Since then, I've just learned that eBay has it just has the best profit margins and it has the lowest barrier of entry. FBA, Amazon, it's tough to get into, especially with all their gates, and it's a lot easier to get banned on Amazon. So I've just stuck with eBay purely because of how easy it is and how awesome the margins are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you kind of sell a little bit of everything, but I kind of want to just go back to like your story, kind of what was like the decision. You did your pest control company. Did you do that in combination with eBay? When did you decide to like go all in on reselling?
Yeah, so I was doing pretty well with pest control, and then I was just doing eBay kind of as this hobby side hustle thing. And then eBay started to grow a lot faster than I thought it would. And I'm diagnosed with adult ADHD, so I'm always kind of doing something. My biggest symptom of that is hyperfixation. So if I'm doing something here, so I was doing my pest control, and then eBay started to grow, and I started hyperfixating on eBay, and my income from pest control was starting to go down a little bit while my income on eBay was going up. And so I heard in a podcast years ago that if you chase 2 rabbits, they both get away. And so I'm like, okay, how can I get eBay to a point where I can let go of the pest control? So I just sold my pest control company like 6 months ago. And I've just been doing eBay and eBay related things. But I just, I don't know, the way I just knew that I just believed in myself and I knew that I could really build any company. So pest control started to feel like a job. eBay started to feel just like this really cool thing to go shopping at thrift stores every morning and then just post stuff online and sell them. So I committed to that once I was making, because I was making like $25,000 a month for my pest control company. And then I started to make like $3,000 a month on eBay. But by the time I was making $3,000 on eBay, my pest control was already down to like $12,000. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, I just got to commit. And so then I started just doing eBay, and it's been going really well since then.
Cool. About how long have you been would you say reselling in general?
Yeah, so I haven't even been doing this for 2 years yet. I'm about 21 months in. I started in December 2 years ago.
Okay. Can you share any memorable like success stories of any products that stick out in your mind that you flip for a bigger profit than normal? Or
yeah, like my first summer reselling, I went to a yard sale in a nice neighborhood here in southern Utah, and I found 2 pairs of Oakleys and 2 pairs of Chanel glasses, all for $5 each. One of the Chanel glasses sold for $1,800. The other sold for $400, and then both the Oakleys sold for about $180 each. So $20 into $2,500. Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of most resellers kind of get involved, for reasons to make money, and then they get
Mhm.
surprised on, wow, I only spent $5, and the opportunity to make profit on some of these items can be insane, especially when you start, the more you go out and the more you find product, the more you go out sourcing, the better opportunity to find stuff like that. So, like, how do you stay updated with latest trends and market demands so you can capitalize on some of these buys? Do you do market research before you go out, or do you just tend to buy the same things that keep reselling in your store?
Yeah, so I'm a numbers guy, and coupled with my hyperfixation, I'm just constantly on Google and YouTube looking stuff up. I'm actually invested in eBay through the stock market. So every quarter I get their updates on what they're doing in their business. They tell you in black and white, hey, we're making a ton of money in this category. We're losing money in this one. So we're moving away from this one into this one. There's a lot more sales going on in the international markets. So I'm implementing more international sales. This demographic of Gen Z users are buying this product more often than the millennials are, and they're buying it more often than the boomers are, things like that. So I just keep up on all those trends. But yeah, it's just wild. Like, I've had these aha moments throughout my eBay career where I find remote controls. I'm like, oh, no one would buy a remote control. Now remote controls are probably my second biggest category that I sell in, because one day I just decided to look up a remote. It was a Logitech Harmony 600. Bought it for $1, sold it for $65 plus shipping. I'm like, what? So then I just started looking up all the remotes I could find. Then 3 months later, I saw a pair of Italian sunglasses for 50 cents at a thrift store. I'm like, oh, what have I been doing? I should have been selling these all along. Now sunglasses sell a ton. Same thing happened with baseball bats. Same thing happened with curling irons. Same thing happened with all these different things. So yeah, I've learned that people only care about the brand, and so anything sells. Hamster wheels with the right brand will sell. A toaster with the right brand will sell. Obviously, clothing. So I'm not looking for items. I'm just looking for brands, and I'm looking for quality. So if I don't know a brand, but I can feel that something's heavier than it should be, it's usually good quality. Look up the brand. Oh, yep, this is an $80 toaster when its competitors are $7 toasters. So I'm just constantly looking for brands in a nutshell.
Yeah. Beautiful. What a great strategy. So, yeah, investing actually into eBay, you now get their quarterly reports.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's a hack for sure.
Yeah, that it's beautiful because, if you take it serious, you're going to be serious in your approach and how you seek information. And some of this can be giving you such a bigger advantage than just most people. So that is a definite good strategy right there. Now, what challenges have you encountered thus far being a reseller, and kind of how are you trying to overcome them? It could be with listing or hiring employees. What things have you run into?
Yeah, so I'm really empathetic towards people that struggle with business, struggle with eBay specifically, because in my experience, this is the easiest job I've ever had. The margins are just incredible. It's so easy to just go find items that are $3 that sell for 60 almost every single day. So I have experience in drop shipping as well, where the margins are about 9%. So for every $100 in revenue, I get $9. That's here on eBay, my margins are between 50 and 60%, which is a lot easier to deal with. So one thing that I think, if I lived in a bigger city, I think one thing that I would struggle with is probably overbuying, just because you're able to get so much product that it doesn't sell extremely fast in some cases. So I could have foreseen that issue. But honestly, when it comes to just buying junk with a good brand on it and selling it on eBay, this is by far the easiest job I've had. I have a close network. So I have a few employees. Most of them are my family members, my brother-in-law, things like that. And then I have a lot of ride or die friends that are just willing to do anything for me. So every time I want to make like a special YouTube video, I have a friend that makes thumbnails and just does a ton of things. I make my own thumbnails, but he's sent me a couple drafts like, hey. So whenever I need anything, I just have people to rely on. But yeah, I mean, kind of unpopular opinion, eBay is the easiest job in the world, man. Like we just need to buckle down and focus on it, and we'll all be thousandaires in a couple days.
Yeah, if you've ever dug trenches for a living, or roofed houses or fixed fence on a farm, yes, eBay is very nice in the fact that you can literally do it from your sweatpants with your loafers on and make 6 figures. Though I would not recommend it, but you can. So that's the beauty. eBay's awesome. Yeah, it's been around forever, but still there's such a great opportunity. And what a blessing to be alive in this country where we can make make money off people's trash, right? Basically.
100%.
So, just getting into the chat. Lois, you had a few questions, so I want to get into that. Lois, you said, I have a question that is probably on everyone's mind right now. Is the USPS shipping changes? Yes, you said, am I correct in assuming that if I change all my first class items to USPS Parcel Select Ground Advantage in my business shipping policies, I will be all set? Yeah, so there is a lot of talk going around about this shipping change. And from what I know, you do need to be proactive and you do need to figure out how you're going to make this happen. Because from what I've heard, if you do nothing, that can be setting you up for a little bit of a headache. So you want to get those switched over, whether it's in your business policy or you do it one by one and do it manually. And I believe you could start doing that now. The 9th is when this takes effect. So if you could start changing over a lot of your first class items to Ground Advantage before you do that, do it like on a Saturday, that way you're not shipping stuff out. Do it Saturday, Sunday, then come Monday, all of those items should be shipped Ground Advantage. But what is your experience? I'm sure you have a few first class items.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's important to understand just the psychology of polarization here. So if you log onto YouTube, people are making a huge deal about this because it's going to get more views and clicks. So if I put changes coming our way with USPS Ground Advantage and I do this, it's going to get like probably 1,000 views. But if I do this and I put such a headache, changes coming to all eBay resellers via shipping, it's going to get 25,000 views. So just understanding the psychology of that, like this isn't going to be a really hard change. It's going to be like, I'd say a moderate one. You just got to change your policies over a little bit. Just doing that, you're going to be fine. And then you're going to learn, okay, I'm getting kind of priced out a little bit on my shipping. So I need to adjust it 40 cents or $1 or $2, whatever it may be. But this shouldn't be something that we're like super scared about. It's just something that we need to just honestly, if you just switch over, like Lewis said, if you just switch over all of your first class to Parcel Select Ground or whatever the Ground Advantage, whatever they're calling it, you're going to be good. And then you might see an increase of sales if you were on the lower end of first class shipping, or you're going to see a decrease in sales if you're on that upper end. And then all you're going to have to do is just after a week or two of testing, you can just change your prices accordingly and it's all going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. Do you do calculated, flat rate? What is the majority of your shipping in your
anything
eBay store?
8 ounces or under, I do a calculated rate of just under $5. If it's between 8 and 12 ounces, I do a calculated rate just under $6. Mm-hmm. And then if it's over a pound and it can fit in a flat rate, then I do $8.99, and then I do calculated anything over 2 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just about the same.
And I'm gonna keep it the same. And then if I notice a decrease in sales, keeping in mind about the summer and the seasonality, cyclical consumer sales and buyers, things like that, I'll adjust my prices if need be. But honestly, I don't think I'll be making any changes for until the next hike in 6 months or so.
Yep. Yeah. So this is a good question. Tilting Frog says, for investor information, even though this is never financial advice, but just getting your kind of background and what you think, where's like a good resource? If you're not an investor, where is a good resource to find that type of information, trends and things like that? What do you use?
Yeah, so being invested is nice because I just get an email sent to me. Honestly, they send me an email like every 10 to 15 days, and then the huge investor conferences every quarter when public companies have to disclose their earnings because they're public. The cool thing about them being public is you don't have to be invested for that information. You can just go to seekingalpha.com, Bloomberg Finance, just things like that. All of their reports, every single word of their conferences are typed out and put on seekingalpha.com, so you can have access to that. But to get these emails that I'm talking about, you don't even have to own one whole stock of eBay, which right now is around $40 to $45. You can literally invest 16 cents into eBay and get all of that information sent to your email.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Yeah, it's hard to. I'm all about investing, stock market and whatnot. But when you see the return on investment in some of your items that you resell, you go, man.
Exactly.
Very, very rarely when I'm buying my items for $1, very rarely do I take a loss on that.
Mhm.
So, but I think you should be diverse in whatever you put your money into, and it's awesome to get into investing. I think that the thought of letting your money work for you while you sleep is a really, really nice feeling. So kind of getting back into it, what are the key factors do you think that determine success of a reselling business? And specifically on eBay, I guess, since that you sell on. Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of different things. That's obviously why I started a YouTube channel, to disclose all this information. But honestly, I think people. So I'm personally a numbers guy. I love information. I love numbers. I love all this stuff. I love understanding the algorithm and things like that. But I think too many people focus too much of their time and attention on the algorithm instead of their customers. So I think, if I don't do this, will that irritate the algorithm? When you should just replace algorithm with customer.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't know if eBay's algorithm is going to like how I listed this. And it's like, no, you need to ask yourself, will my customers actually search for this? Will my customers like this shipping policy? Will my customers like this return policy? Will my customers like this item that I priced 400% over market value and then put on sale for 50%? That just doesn't work. It's you just have to think from a human psychology perspective instead of a technical algorithmic perspective. This is what I talk about probably the most on my lives, because people think that they're like shadow banned on eBay, when really it's just your item is $1.89 too expensive and your customers can't see it because they usually just put lowest price plus shipping, and then you're buried on page 19 instead of page 2 or 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
algorithm.
If you want to be successful in reselling, understand human psychology more than algorithmic movement.
Algorithm is customers' habits. The algorithm is taking customers' habits. That's what an algorithm is. It's not a, it's not this god or deity. It's literally just trained on information. So when we say algorithm, that's YouTube algorithm, Twitter algorithm. All of these algorithms are just trained on how human psychology, how we do things. So yeah, you 100% is people. When you can relate algorithm to just your customers and the end buyer, then it all starts to come together. So like piggyback off of that, what is like the importance of an effective product listing for optimization, and how impactful is that for your sales and profitability? So like, how are you optimizing your listings so they do end up in buyers' faces?
Yep. So this is something that you've talked about on your channel a lot, and there's a lot of free information across YouTube and Google and eBay. They I forgot what the program is called, but every 3 months or 6 months, eBay releases like 2 to 15 videos about how to help people sell online on eBay. And I always put this, if you're selling electronics, this is the title structure you should follow as a foundation. If you're selling clothing, this is a title structure you should follow as a foundation. And so I think the foundation of a listing is the title. You got to make sure that the title is set up piggybacking off of human psychology, the way your customer would type it. So a lot of people ask me, because I sell a lot of electronics, they're like, where do you put the model number? And I typically put that at the end or towards the end, because some people, their remote will break and then they'll look up the exact model number and then they'll type it in. And mine will be in the title, so I'll catch them anyway. But most people just type into eBay Sony DVD player. They don't type in Sony SLV-NX57. They just type in Sony DVD player. And so I start my listings, brand, what the item actually is, and then all the specifics after that. So that's the foundation. And then I'd say the first floor of a listing, you got to have good photos. And then the second floor, still important, item specifics. And then probably, I'd guess I would say the elevator in that building that is super important are your policies. So you got to get them from the foundation all the way up to the first and second floor via policies of shipping, return policies, and then obviously, and then I think probably one of the most important things on eBay specifically is pricing. It's not the most important, but it's one of them, because when you type in an item, 17 of them pop up, and if you can get one for $13 less, you're probably just going to buy that one.
Yeah. How do you handle your pricing strategies so you can remain competitive? Now that you've been selling for a while on eBay, how are you? Are you checking comps, making sure you price middle of the market, or how are you determining your prices?
Yeah, here comes the controversy. This is what I love talking about. So
That's good.
in these quarterly reports that eBay talks about, they talk about what they call a premium customer. So their goal right now, a lot of companies' goal is how can we get as many customers as possible? eBay has now shifted from that to how can we get higher paying customers? We're willing to lose 40 customers that spend $40 a year to get one that will spend over $5,000 with us this year. And so they talk a lot about their premium customers, and those are the people that I advertise to. The biggest premium customer on eBay right now, there's two of them. There are millennial men, such as myself. Millennial men will buy a Travis Matthews shirt for $29, even when other ones are listed for $14, because they just click on the first thing that pops up. And then there's middle-aged women that are in upper to extreme income classes. They just type something in, and the first thing that comes up, they click on. So I actually price things depending on the item. So electronics, I price lower because people are typically just looking for a replacement, and so they want to buy that replacement. But if it's vintage, then I'll price it higher. But when it comes to clothing, I actually price things higher than most people would, because I have so many items that have a 2-week sell through that I'm willing to wait 160 days to sell clothing for $6 more, because I'm waiting for that guy that buys the Tommy Bahama shirt for $29, even though the exact same shirt is there for $13, because he doesn't care. He makes $80,000 a month and he just wants to go sit on a yacht in his custom Tommy Bahama shirt. So like people always tell me all the time, a lot of the brands that I sell, Travis Matthew, Tommy Bahama, there's this Western one called Cinch. I've gotten a ton of messages from rodeo all-stars that like, hey, I'm participating in the world tour rodeo here in Las Vegas. This cinch shirt is awesome, and they buy it for $70, even though it's only worth $24. So I kind of price higher on clothing, and then everything else in my store I just list at market, so that way I can have that extremely fast sell-through coupled with the longer shelf items. If that made sense. That was a lot of information right there.
For sure. No, that's great. Just briefly, you're offering returns on all your items, or
Everything, yeah. Even items that are 4 parts and not working, I still offer returns.
cool. Can you share some valuable tips for negotiating deals, like while you're out sourcing and searching for inventory? That you can kind of take advantage of. You had a video that went really well with this, or maybe it was a live, but just discuss like how do you negotiate with potential buys, and what do you do there?
Yeah, so I have a video called, I think it's like 5 psychological tips to get more product at yard sales or something like that. And then I have a couple shorts on it as well. Pretty much just being a energetic, charismatic person that actually cares about people is really the hack. A lot of people say your network is your net worth, or they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'd say that's pretty accurate. You can do everything on your own, but it's more exponential when you know other people. So for example, today I just barely bought $500 worth of Ray-Bans and Oakleys and things of that nature for $60 because I've been buying things off of Facebook. And this guy that I've done like 3 deals with in the past, he's just like, here, these are all scratched. I don't want to list them on eBay because I don't know how really to. And that's one of my specialties is listing broken and scratched sunglasses. So I was able to pick up $500 for $60. And then tonight I'm heading over to a guy that does storage units. He doesn't want to sell controllers and iPods and remotes. So he has a big box waiting for me at 6 p.m. to go pick up tonight. So it's all, I'd watch that video that I posted about the 5 psychological tips. And then honestly, I would just try to wake up and be in the best attitude possible. And then just go talk to people, let them know what you do, ask them, try to provide more value to them than they can to you. And you always end up getting more value from them.
Yeah. It's the principle, of giving and receiving, but you don't give to receive. You just give off faith, right? And, we're not negotiating to like be, sleek or like mischievous. We're negotiating because first of all, we want the best price, but also too, we want to provide value to everyone. So when you do that, you actually, they might end up giving it to you for free. So that's the crazy part. So yeah, that's a beautiful thing right there. So now just taking a look at your operation, you sell a little bit of everything.
Yep.
How are you managing your inventory, and how are you making sure you fulfill each order and making sure it goes to the right place, and how are you storing all of those items?
Yeah, so I humbly say this, I live an awesome life. eBay is awesome. So I source anywhere from 70 to 150 items a week off of eBay. So I'll be making videos about this in the future, but there's a few strategies that I utilize that I'm able to get people. I'm able to buy like 10 shirts for $2 plus $2 shipping when I combine them all together. So I'm able to buy a ton of inventory off of eBay. And then I just go to 5 or 6 thrift stores almost daily, and I'm able to get a bunch of my inventory. I've been doing this for a while. I know brands and things of that nature, so I just know what is worth picking up. And then the strategy that I utilize, a lot of people will say like, oh, you shouldn't be looking things up in store. You should be looking them up at home or whatever. But I do both. Like I'm just always trying to learn. So I'll go into a thrift store, and my thrift store is crazy in the morning. And I'll try to get as many things as I can that I think are worth flipping. And then I'll just look them up right at the end before I check out. So I usually put like 20 things in my cart, and then I'll leave with 16 or 17 of them. I put them in this processing bucket right here to my right. My employee comes in and she cleans everything for me. She cuts tags off of shirts. Then she puts them into my to be listed bucket. And then she lists all the clothing items. I have just a little sheet that she just manually types in every single word. And then I set the price for them and hit launch. And then everything that's non-clothing, I list myself. She does 14 listings a day. I do 25. And then I have an inventory system in the garage. I have a SKU system. Let's see if I can bear with me here. So this is my SKU system for my vacuum parts, calculator, ski goggles, sports covers, handheld, music, headphones, all that good stuff. But yeah, so my eBay day right now looks like 3 to 4 hours a day, selling about 25 items a day. But it was 12 hours a day every single day for a year to get to where I am now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of new resellers start out a little bit discouraged because they're like, "Oh man, I'm listing 5 a day, but it takes me all day," and I was there too, so it just takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you can you share some of those common mistakes that you think new resellers on eBay are making, and like how can they avoid them?
Yeah, one thing that I did early on is I didn't understand. So like I would go out and I would find a pan and I would look it up and I saw, oh, this sold for $40 and it's only $3 here. Sweet. But then I didn't realize that it was $40 free shipping. So in all reality, it sold for $16 plus $14 shipping. Honestly, pans are long and heavy. So honestly, it sold for $9 plus $21 shipping. So I made like 40 cents. So make sure you understand what things are actually selling for. Another thing is just don't blindly listen to YouTubers. A lot of them have good hearts. Their hearts are in the right place. They just want to help people. They also want to make money.
Mm-hmm.
So some guys and gals will give terrible advice. So don't just blindly buy what other YouTubers are buying. Make sure you actually look things up. This happens to me all the time. People are like, "You told me to buy curling irons and they aren't selling," and I'm like, "Well, I didn't tell you to pick up Conair or Helen of Troy, that's for sure." I told you.
Yeah, Walmart brand.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like talk about brand all the time. So yeah, be aware of what things actually sell for was my first mistake, and then really learn how to ship things. A lot of people ask me how to ship things because it's a tough process when you're only selling 1 or 2 a week. You don't really know how to ship very well. But I've gotten to a system where I've sold, I think, 2,200 pairs of sunglasses and eyeglass frames, and I've only had 2 break. So that's 0.001%. So if you're gonna sell things that break, I wouldn't ship it unless you can literally throw it. So I have friends that work for FedEx and UPS. Don't put, you can if you want to, but people put fragile stickers on their packages. And my friends say they literally play this game called Fragile, where every time they find a package that says fragile, they yell Fragile and then they kick it off of the truck instead of placing it. So like your things are going to get thrashed. So ship and package accordingly.
Mm-hmm. I think USPS states this in their policy is that they ensure that your package can handle like 60 to 100 pounds of weight on top of it to ensure it doesn't break. So, just if you have a lot of my flat rate envelopes that are like packed to the max, I'll reinforce that thing with so much tape, knowing that they're not carefully placing your package, they're punting them into the next bin.
They're getting
so getting some good practice. So getting into some of the comments, got that one already. That one guy says, trade wise, I work in HVAC, now full-time eBay reseller, part-time HVAC tech. eBay is 1,000% safer and a blessing, depending on your processes. Jay Ride's the man, and thank you for the podcast. Hey, appreciate you.
That one guy, he's one of my my members that listens to my podcast.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, thanks for coming in. Paul says, gross numbers have no value in the discussion. 25K is with 10% margin is not that great, for example. 35% margin on 3K is pretty good for another example. Yeah, of course. Yeah, especially when you're just getting into reselling, when you see the big numbers, just keep in mind that a lot of the times it's the gross number. And behind that, you don't really know, well, what's the profit? So, yeah. And then you said you're operating at a pretty good profit margin, like after your gross.
Yeah.
Right? So that is true, 100%. Jamie says, good day. What's going on, Jamie? Hope you're well. And Lois says, thank you for clarifying the new shipping. I saw someone on YouTube showing to bulk edit, and it seemed ridiculous. Love the eBay investing tip. what do you think of promoted dynamic ad rate? So yeah, what do you do? Do you promote all your items, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so this is probably your commonly most asked question. It's definitely mine. What do I do about promotions? So there's a lot of items in my store that don't need to be promoted to sell, and there's a lot of items that absolutely do need to be promoted to sell. But I'm not going to take my time to do all that. So every single item that goes into my store, I just have it automatically set to 2.6% promoted listing. I don't do any advanced dynamic ad rates or anything like that. Everything is just 2.6% across the board.
Yeah. I have a fixed flat rate for promotions too. And since I sell mainly pre owned mall brand clothing, a lot of that stuff is saturated. So I do believe it is necessary for me, but it might not be for you. So
Most clothing resellers that I talk to say they do about 10% promoted listings
yeah.
on clothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you see in the future of reselling? Like what trends or changes do you anticipate in reselling as general? And like what are you doing to prepare for these changes?
Yeah, so in a live, someone actually asked me the other day where I see reselling in 20 years, and I'm not going to speculate on that at all. That's way too far in the future. We have no idea. But in the next 5 years, I talk about this all the time. I think this is like the greatest time to be reselling of all time. More people are shopping online than ever before. More people are donating items than ever before. More people are buying used because it's trendy and environmentally conscious than ever before. And I think that for the next 3-5 years, I think reselling is just going to continue to improve over time. So I really like where it's going. AI may just take over in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, who knows? But I think the next 3 to 5 years are going to be kind of like the golden years of reselling. I think anyone that wants to hop in, I think they're going to do great if they just have a good head on their shoulders and they try to be better every single day and they don't make excuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, if you think about it, reselling is pretty much the first type of trade that existed. So
Yep.
Now we just do it online. So it is a beautiful time. And I have to say, eBay's changed my life, my family's life for the better. And now my mission is to help other people that are kind of in the same position of that 9 to 5. Hey, you don't have to work at a job, though you can while still doing eBay. And you'll find that eBay will often outproduce your income with just a year or two. So, and now you're running your own business. So kind of getting into back of the customers type of deal is like, how are you handling customer inquiries, negative feedbacks, and conflicts when it comes to eBay? How are you handling someone who maybe got something in the mail, it was broken, or maybe they have something, bad to say about your item? How do you go about handling it?
Yeah, so this is easier said than done. My wife calls this kind of my superpower. So I'm a very logical person. I'm not emotional based kind of whatsoever, especially when it comes to her feelings. always trying to be better. But
For sure.
I guess I'm a fixer or whatever. But when it comes to broken items, returns, negative feedback, it's all just part of the game. Like I tell my subscribers all the time that complain about refunds because it sucks. They're tough. No one likes a refund. But I always say, like, don't let $50 or $70 worth of returns stop you from making $25,000 a month on eBay. You're going to have returns. They're just going to happen. Just accept them and move on. I'm under the philosophy of no partial refunds, and you get your money back once I have the item in my possession. That's just the way that returns have worked for a long time. So that's just the way to do it. I don't deal with a lot of broken items, even though I'm an everything seller and I sell a lot of technology. Some people may think this is a really high number. Some people may think it's super low, but my return rate is just over 4%. And I sell a lot of DVD, VCR combo players and things like that. So got to test them all and things like that. But it's just part of business. You just have to get over it. Another thing I talk about a lot is human psychology is a huge thing for me. If you want to be a better business owner, a better entrepreneur, really understand how people think, how people buy, what habits they have, why people would get excited, why people would get angry, why people would get excited. why people would be scared, things of that nature. But they did a study where in San Francisco, they rated pizzerias, and they said that people are 430% more inclined to go to a pizzeria that has a 4.7 star rating than one that has a 5-star rating, because psychologically they just think, oh, the employees must have just put up some 5-star ratings and that place doesn't get a lot of business, or they can't actually be perfect, especially in a service industry. There has to be at least 1 or 2 negative reviews. So I'm okay with having a few negative feedbacks on my scorecard. I think my positive feedback right now is like 99.2%. I used to call in every single time and say, hey, eBay, can you take care of this? And they usually would, but for like a 2-month period, they just stopped. So dealing with electronics, a lot of times people will say they don't work even when they do. And so that's why I say, okay, yeah, sorry that it doesn't work. Just go ahead and send it back and I'll give you a full refund. And then they never send it back. And then eBay just didn't have my back for a month and a half for some reason. So I got like 6 or 7 negative feedbacks. But honestly, it hasn't affected my sales whatsoever. It's just part of the business. Don't stress. Always try to have 100% feedback. That should be the goal. But there's just things outside of your control that sometimes you can't take care of, and it's okay. It's not gonna make you make $10,000 less this month, I promise.
Yeah. I kind of approach that the same with the clothing, is that I'm really just trying to get it as accurate as possible. Like, the photos don't need to look like I'm selling on Amazon, right? But they do need to make it look like I'm coming from, like, it's good enough. And there's a point, because I think the human psych. Yeah, exactly. And because I don't want the customer to get the item thinking that it was better in the photos than it's actually in person. And, the whole white background removal and, oh man, it needs to look perfect. I'm selling used clothes here with sometimes stains and holes. So that's how it's going to be, right? But yeah, really good on that. Eros says, the funny thing is, when I ever get a return, the return item usually sells for more than for the second time around, say about 85% of the time. Yeah. Returns are just kind of part of business, and
it definitely is.
I don't really recall, other than buying from thrift stores, of where there's no return policy. I think that the stronger your return policy is the more belief that you have in the product that you're selling, versus not having a return policy.
And having that return policy is going to get you an algorithmic boost and a psychological boost.
Yep. Yeah, people, what is Amazon known for? Mm-hmm. Fast shipping and returns. And there you go. So, kind of going over branding, does that play a big role in your eBay business? Should we be establishing like a brand presence on eBay, like with our storefront, or do you think it even matters at all?
Doesn't matter at all. The coolest part about eBay, this is like a glitch in the matrix. Okay, so 2 parts here. eBay is the easiest job in the world because Patagonia and Oakley and Ray-Bans, all these companies have put in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to make their brands awesome. And we go and pick them up for $1 and then sell them for 40. And then eBay does all the work, advertising $1 million a day on Google. That's not a myth. That's a fact all the time. They're actually talking about increasing that over time, 5% every quarter, things like that. They're literally spending millions and millions of dollars every single day just to get people to look at our items. And all we have to do is buy them, list them, and ship them. And they charge us 10 to 20%. Controversial opinion here. I think that percentage should be higher. Like, they provide an incredible service of getting millions of eyeballs on our products, having a really, really huge, very complicated system and website that is always maintained. There's glitches here and there or whatever, but they do all this work for us and we literally just ship them out. So to get to your question, I don't think you have to have a brand presence whatsoever on eBay, because eBay is literally doing all that work to get, I have 2,300 items listed right now. And over the last 30 days, I have 12.5 million impressions. I didn't do anything for that. eBay gave me all of this. It doesn't matter that I'm Jay Ride. It doesn't matter that you are the president of the United States. If you just put something on eBay, people are going to see it.
Yeah, so true. Even though eBay's trying to make it seem like, get your branding done and promote on social media, in the grand scheme of things, the majority of your traffic is coming from eBay's side and their work. Yeah.
Since I started my YouTube channel, my sales conversion has actually gone down because now people go look at my store to learn about theirs, and then they like click on all my items and then click away without purchasing. So like having a YouTube is actually like a negative when it comes to selling on eBay, but I really don't care. It's completely fine. But yeah, having honestly, like I would discourage people from promoting their listings on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Everyone should do their own thing. Do what you think is best for your business, but I think it's actually a net negative.
Yeah, me too. I will always share my store with people like personally that reach out, but never am I going to make a marketing campaign about the eBay store because
exactly.
You're 100% right. It actually hurts your metrics, and the more people that are clicking on your listings to watch them but don't buy, it sends a signal within the matrix that there's something going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. Lori says, thank you for the fantastic video. Always looking to improve speed without any diminishment of quality. One tip I've discovered is mindset. It's kind of magical how it brings good and creative ideas. What's your kind of, you're a big psychology guy. What's your thoughts on having the right mindset to getting into any type of business?
Yeah, that's the most important part right there, is any type of business. So one thing that I hear all the time is, oh, eBay reselling is saturated, or this specific item is saturated. Or the algorithm hates me. Same thing happens on YouTube. Same thing happens in door-to-door sales. Same thing happens at owning your own business. Everyone will say it's saturated or that the algorithm hates you across all industries. So you just got to get over that. Mindset is everything. I have a few key principles that just help me be successful. One of them is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So every day I wake up, I'm expecting to have 0 sales. Every day when I wake up, I'm expecting to find 0 items at the thrift store. Every day I log on to eBay to find things to snipe, I'm expecting to get 0. And everything is just an awesome opportunity after that.
Mm-hmm. That same principle is ingrained in my heart, and I think I heard it really for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago. It's expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Have an expectation of it's going to be your best day ever, but you're preparing that it's going to be the worst day ever. So if it happens, you're prepared. So I love that, and that is a great mentality to take into your relationships, into your business, is that this is a bumpy ride, so get your popcorn ready, but be buckled in and strapped in case things hit the fan, right? So mindset is going to get you through that, and also guided with a good vision. So Lori says, a tiny one is simply pulling those strips off the poly bags fast. I used to pull them off slowly and carefully so nothing is ruined. So not necessary. What a dopey thought. Probably this change saves time over the course of the day. Yeah. Jamie says, how long did it take you to do 1,500 ads?
I think she means sales there.
Yeah, maybe 1,500 sales. She says
listings.
She only has 40. Yeah. I guess, yeah. What's the pace? I mean, you're at 2,300 items now. How long did it take you to get to, let's say, 1,000 items up?
So I started out on eBay listing 5 a day, Monday through Friday, not doing anything Saturday or Sunday. Then I started doing 8 Monday through Friday. Then I started doing 10 Monday through Friday. And then I discovered the ideology behind the draft bank. So then I started doing 10 Monday through Sunday, still not working Saturdays or Sundays, but just automatically launching them. And then I went to 15, then 20. Now I'm at 25 every single day. I would sell when I remember being at 250 items and selling 5 a day. I remember being at 600 and selling 9 a day. And then I remember I was at 1,800 selling 26 a day. And now I'm at 2,300 selling about 19 a day. Just because things have definitely slowed down during the summer. And I'm getting more and more and more clothing, which is great. I sell a ton of clothing, so it's not destroying my store, but it is just most of the people that talk about summer slowdown or complain about sales to me are specifically clothing or specifically shoe sellers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't feel summer slowdown as much because I have DVD, VCR combo players and iPods and stuff. Mm-hmm. But the clothing sales are awesome. They keep my store moving, but it does just slow down production a little bit. So I've increased. I used to list like 5 clothing items a week. Now I'm listing 15 a day. And so it's helping my store grow. Mm-hmm. And they're awesome sales, but it's not as fast as a sell through, and we're in the middle of summer. Mm-hmm. So when I'm at 3,000, I expect to be selling about 36 or 37 a day, maybe like 33. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Going over just quick numbers is like, are you on pace for 6 figures gross, and kind of what does your average sale price kind of look like? You don't have to share it, but
no, yeah, I'm very transparent on this part. So my average sales price is like $42.38. Last time I looked it up yesterday.
It's beautiful.
Yep. And last year, my full first calendar year, I did 127,000 gross. I think right now for the year, I'm at like 186,000. So my goal is to do 400,000 revenue at about a 55% margin. And then I think the plan is to just maintain 400,000. So 100,000 a quarter revenue, about 60,000, which would end up being $20,000 a month, which is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And then I'd like to expand into making $20,000 a month on YouTube. And I'd like to also start making $20,000 a month on Amazon.
Yeah, that's very good. So Julie asks, you did something, you pay eBay fees and promote fees? Julie, just want to confirm on that question, but yeah, so what are you asking as far as like fees? I think fees are just part of it, and then you touched on this earlier, is that if you're starting like a brick and mortar or things like that, there's so many other fees that you're going to have to be paying that you're not going to see an ROI on that for years. And yeah, eBay fees are high and all this stuff, but at the same time, you could do this by yourself with no employees, no brick and mortar store. And if the fees are the cost of doing business, you're still paying less than a lot of overhead that you'd have with a physical location.
Even if you build a Shopify account, it costs $70 a month. You have to run Facebook ads that are going to cost you thousands of dollars a month just to sell 6 or 7 items a day.
Mm-hmm. Going back to how you got to 1,000 listings, did that take you a year, or how long did that take you to hit 1,000?
So the first year, every time I would hit another 500 items. Well, I don't know. I made it to 300 and I had learned a lot. And so I went through my store and I'm like, okay, what is not selling whatsoever? Mm-hmm. Made a lot of mistakes about some plush toys, some mugs, some things like that. I'm like, okay, these things do not sell whatsoever. So I went from 300 all the way down to 180. Then I got to 600 and I did another donation spree and I got down to like 430. Then I made it to 1,000, did the same thing, got down to about like 920, which is less because I got a lot better at that job. And now I've never donated an item since having 920. I think I got to 600. I actually did this calculation the other day. So I was growing at a rate of 6 items a day for the first few months. And then when I was upping things, I was selling more. So I'd say my store grows on average 4 items a day. And it's been doing that consistently for 2 years. Some like right now it's growing faster because less things are selling. Mm-hmm. So I'm growing at like 6 or 7 items a day. But during the winter, like I shrink because I'm listing 25 and selling 31, things like that. Mm-hmm. But I got to 600 in about 6 months. I got to 1,000 in under a year.
Mhm.
And now I'm at 2,300, and I still haven't been doing this for 2 years yet.
Mhm. And you've really been on the strict regimen of getting items up every day.
Yeah, I haven't missed listing in probably 16 months. Listed every single day for 16 months.
Yeah, I always tell people like you don't need to list every day to make sales, but if you want to make the most sales consistently listing every day is going to be a key to that, you know? Adriel says, how do you guys approach going on vacation? Do you change the handling time or do you do time away vacation mode? What do you do?
So my goal on YouTube is to be the most relatable eBay seller and give the most value than any other eBay reseller. But this is where I become super unrelatable. So I go on vacations all the time. I'm actually going on an anniversary trip here soon where I'm going to be gone for like 6 or 7 days. And I have employees that take care of everything for me. So my business does not slow down whatsoever, because every time I go on a vacation, I have 2 employees back here getting the listings up, sending everything out. But what I would do if I wasn't in the situation that I'm in right now is I wouldn't put my store on vacation mode. I would just extend my handling time. So if your handling time is next day, and you were going on a 4-day vacation, I would just put a week for handling time. If you're going out for like 10 days, I'd put a full 2 weeks handling time. And then every time someone buys something, just hop on your phone and be like, hey, just wanted to make sure you understand I won't be shipping this for 7 days or 4 days or 10 days or things like that. That's what I would do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, vacations, we all take them, but yeah, it's good to have a plan to strategize, because putting a time away mode really slows a lot of that momentum that you've been building for how long in your store, you know? I'm also a big fan of just extend the handling time a couple days before you go on vacation so you're not put in a bind. But yeah, good question, Adriel. Jamie says, "Okay, I'll try 5 a day first." Yeah, give it a shot. You'll find that you'll get there sooner than you think. And a good problem to have is that if you're listing 5 a day and you're selling 5 a day, that's kind of the green light for you to possibly do more listings, right? Eddie says, "How long did it take you guys to become profitable?" For me, it was day one, and I started as a book and DVD seller, so I was getting a lot of books and DVDs for free. So it was literally like my first week. I think we made $300. But how about you?
Yeah, similar boat here. I just bought some things that I knew would sell, and they sold pretty much immediately, and then I just kept that train going. But I'd say my average subscriber is profitable within about 90 days, about 3 months, which is incredible considering most major companies aren't profitable for the first 3 to 4 years of their business. So
And
often it's gonna be in eBay.
9 out of 10 of those businesses, I don't even think make it to the 5-year mark.
Yep.
So it's crazy. All right. So Jamie says, awesome. And then Julie, following back on her question, she says, you were mentioning that without doing nothing, eBay puts our items in front of buyers. I was just mentioning that we pay fees and promoted fees for eBay to show our items. Yeah. So if you do nothing and it's in a saturated category, it's just going to be a little bit more competitive to be able to end up on page 1.
Yes, I think I understand what she's saying. She's saying that, hey, eBay isn't just giving us eyeballs for free. They essentially are, and then once something actually sells, we give them 15%. When in all reality, if we went and we started a Shopify account and we paid for Facebook ads and we had our own payment processing machine, which is just unfathomably difficult, and we did all these things, we would actually probably be paying about 340% per item and losing money every single hour of our business. So eBay is an incredible opportunity where all we have to do is list things on a platform, and then they take a small 10 to 20% portion of that.
Mm-hmm. 150 million active buyers, and Poshmark is the next closest with, I think, 21 million active buyers. So this is why I like Poshmark, I like Mercari, but this is why I chose eBay to sell.
Mhm.
It's because the majority of people are on there. But yeah, Lois says one of the best eBay videos I have ever seen on YouTube. So much great info. Do you? Okay, thank you. I
That's
appreciate
cool.
that. You're
Always
too
cool.
nice. You're too nice. She says, do you run coupons or markdown sales? Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, so I don't do any coupons, but I do markdown sales. This is also probably my second most asked question.
Mm,
So after 45 days, I do 15% off on all my items. And then if they're still around 45 days later, it's another 5% off. So that's 20. If they're still around another 45 days later, 25%, then 30%. And then 45 days of being 30% off. If they're still in my store, I get them out of there.
okay. Yeah, do you have a lot of items in your store that you see a year later, or you're really trying to get that item out?
Yeah, so I think the item that's been in my store the longest has been up for like 160 days.
Mm, cool.
So,
Yeah.
but also I haven't been
So
doing this for years yet. So,
right, the data. But
yep.
so going back into mindset and psychology, what kind of biblical principles that have stuck with you that you just apply in your everyday life? You know, some
Mhm.
things that you can recall that can be applicable to everyone. You know, what things that have you learned that you see that people should be taking advantage of?
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely a Christian. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints. Some people
Mhm.
actually don't even think we're Christian, but it's whatever.
Like, what is
Um,
that?
yeah. So I also with that, a lot of people are kind of nervous to share their faith on social media or things like that. And I just want to say, like, that's one of the biggest principles in my life is that I'm not for everyone. So, like, a lot of people came onto this podcast, and if we start talking about Jesus Christ, maybe 2 to 20% automatically click away. And that's fine. I'm not for everyone. On the other side of the coin, we could be sitting here cussing and swearing and saying a bunch of terrible things, and then 2 to 20% of people click away from that as well. So I don't think that you should try to reach 100% of people. I don't think you should be interested in trying to play all angles and trying to just be as likable as possible. I think you should be you. Understand you're not for everyone, and just go find that 90% of people, or 85, or if you're a cruddy person, the 40% of people that will listen to you, and just really find that audience, sell to them. In my case, put out videos for them, things like that. But from a Bible perspective, there's a lot of scriptures teach me that you have to do work to get what you want or the answer. So a really popular scripture in my church specifically is James 1:5, where it says, "If any of you lack of wisdom, let him ask of God." So like you can't just sit there and be like, "Why does my life suck?" or "How can I get a Corvette?" or "How can I find my wife or husband or partner?" You have to ask. And then in that same book, like 5 verses later, maybe 3, it says, "Faith without works is dead." So if you
Hmm.
don't actually get up and go get the money to buy the Corvette, or get up and go to a place where you'll find a potential candidate to marry, like God isn't just going to like give it to you. So like you got to ask
Hmm.
God, you got to get up and go. Same thing with Matthew 6:7, "Seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you." You have to actually go out and get what's yours. And God
Hmm.
is just going to direct you in your path to find everything that you need and want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Seek
can't see on
means action.
StreamYard.
Yeah.
I can't see how many people are watching, how many people clicked away when we brought up religion.
No, 62 people. No,
Nice.
I think sharing your values is, people want to know what you
Yeah.
value. And I value biblical principles because they are keys. They are keys to your future. And yes, the gain without effort is what is taught in today's culture.
Yep.
And no matter how much you're seeking to gain without effort, are you going to sustain what is given to you? Because it requires a lot of management. And whatever you mismanage, you will lose. It's a principle that applies to believers and non believers.
Hmm.
So, yeah, gaining without effort is unfortunately one of the worst things to have in your life. You do need to put in some effort. And this is why I'm always a believer of people pray for things. God gives you ideas.
Yep.
And it's up to you to take those ideas and put them into action. So, what is the idea that I say to everyone listening right now, believer or non-believer? What is the idea that you've had for the longest time that is keep coming up that you just can't stop thinking about? Do it. Because one of the biggest things that you can live in your life is with regret. And I don't believe I recall the name of the book, but they did a great study of like 10, 20,000 people when they were on their deathbed. And they said, what was the thing that really was the biggest regret? And it was not taking action on their ideas. So this is why I believe the graveyard is the richest place on the planet, because it is filled with ideas that never came to pass.
Yep.
So life is short. And I know we talk about eBay, I know we talk about reselling, but in the grand scheme of things, we were actually born to do much more. So I love that perspective. And that's the thing, like with biblical principles, is they're principles, so they actually work whether you believe or not. They're principles. So I believe in Proverbs, it says the wealth is laid up for the righteous, but basically the wicked has all your money. It's because they're applying business biblical principles, and they're working. You know, the principle of giving and receiving, the principle of sowing and reaping. If you want a great reward, a big harvest, what is required of that? Sowing. Sowing seed requires action. So you need to be able to sow in the good times, and when the bad times hit, you have a harvest coming to you. So this is why I always say in my videos, anyone can have a good time when things are great. So when it's in the good times, you need to be sowing seed. You need to be putting in work and expect that there's seasons. Seasons aren't just summer, winter. You know, it's seasons of relationships, seasons in life, that when you're having a good time, know that it's temporary. The bad times happen. So
Warren
prepare.
Buffett always says to be fearful when people are greedy, and then be greedy when people are fearful.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say to people that maybe are having a hard time with reselling, and, you know, maybe they are getting discouraged and they've been doing it for a year or two? Where would you say, what's the step they should take to be able to like have a little bit more hope, right? Like belief into what they're doing can be a real business. What would you say for them to kind of look towards as far as like gaining a little inspiration?
Yeah, there's a lot of different directions you can go with that. A lot of good principles you can apply, a lot of actionable things you can do. But keeping it kind of on the religious side. One time I was in this conference, we have a lot of things called devotionals where speakers come and they talk about a religious topic. And one guy said, forget everything you know about prayer and just go talk to God. So don't focus on the these and thous. Don't focus on the structure or the way that you're taught to pray. Just go talk to your dad for a while and see what happens. So I'd apply that with eBay too. If you've been going for a year or two, if you've been going for only 3 months, just try to forget everything that you've learned and just really think about what you're doing. If you have a favorite YouTuber, maybe myself, maybe Bo, maybe Daily Refinement, maybe it's Harry Tornado, really dive into the principles that we're all teaching and filter out the good ones from the bad ones, and then just build your business. Because like I said, for my first 1,000 items, it was probably actually 1,600 items, and I donated away 600 of them because I failed 600 times, and that's okay. So just be okay with the failures you've made and the failures that you're making. Just go back to the drawing board. For example, YouTube, I've grown really fast. And my last 3 videos have been my 3 worst performing videos. So I gotta go back to the drawing board, gotta see what I was doing better back then, gotta see the changes I need to make now. Maybe it's my thumbnails, maybe it's things I can't control and I just gotta keep going. But there's always something that we can be doing better. So you just gotta strip it down and build it up.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, I'm always telling a lot of the newer resellers to go back to your oldest listings first, because you're gaining more and more experience as you get listing and keywords and stuff. So go back to the drawing board, fix what you did, 8 months ago, and you'll see a lot of revival in some of those older listings. Now just looking towards the future in life, what is kind of your goal, just in life as far as like, what do you see the God speaking to you in your life as far as, what is that big idea you have? If
Yeah.
you want to
So
share
for like the last 4 years of my life, my Instagram bio says, I just want to be remembered as a guy that loved the Lord and loved his family and served his community. So as corny as that sounds, like I don't know, I just live a really awesome, really happy life, and I just want to share that with others. I went on a
it.
2-year mission to Mexico where I just tried to serve people, talk to them about Jesus, and
Mm-hmm.
dude, it sucked. It was
Mm-hmm.
hard, but
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to enjoy the life that I live. Yes, I want to make a ton of money through YouTube. That is one of my goals for sure. But I just want to give extreme value every time I hit record and have people actually. I get a lot of comments of like, "Oh, you just introduced 5,000 new people into the remote control market. Good luck." And like, I always comment back like, I feel honored that I could help 5,000 people increase their increase their
Mm-hmm.
livelihood. So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a few secular and worldly goals. I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently nursing a hernia right now. It sucks. Got a surgery scheduled, but after that, I want to get to the 1,000 pound club. I'm a small guy, but I want to be able to deadlift, squat, and bench 1,000 pounds combined. So like
Mm-hmm.
bench like 300, squat 400, and deadlift 500. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have $1 million before I'm 30. I'm 27 right now, on
Mm-hmm.
my way. And then I'm really excited to start having kids with my wife. We've been married
Nice.
for just under a year. And we're going to
Mm-hmm.
get to that in a year or so, maybe two. So really excited to be a dad. I'm always
Mm-hmm.
always really excited to be a dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I always, and I heard this a few years ago too, but it stuck with me. Is like a simple life is a full life, and it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm just a plain boring person, but it's like when you focus on the simple things, family, faith, values, relationships, they
Mm-hmm.
may seem simple and kind of people overlook that, but in reality, that's truly what life is: speaking to people,
Yeah.
helping people, loving people, listening to people. I always like to think of it as like the keeping up with the Joneses. That's just a never-ending, unfulfilling task. Of, another scripture is like money runs from those who pursue it. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're running after money, you'll never catch it. If you love money, you'll never have enough. Though there's nothing wrong with like gaining money, but money is almost a result of providing a certain amount of value in the economy, right? So if you're
Exactly.
chasing money for some reasons other than, what your motives are, you'll just never have that. You always have that hole of like, it's not enough, right? You've all seen it. Why are the people who winning the lottery kill themselves? Why are the people who are billionaires commit suicide? It's because it's not the actual money. It's the giving. It's the loving of people. It's changing people's lives is what actually makes the impact. But yeah, that's beautiful. I love hearing your heart on that. Timothy says, do you guys thrift out of state? If so, which states have been good to you? Yeah. Have you ever done any cross country thrifting trips?
Yeah, I do that. I do it monthly, sometimes biweekly. I have
Oh.
to. There's only about, I'd say, 60,000 people where I live, maybe 70.
Mm-hmm.
So there's only one big thrift store in my area, and then like two or three really small ones. And I live 2.5 hours from Las Vegas. So I go to Vegas once a month usually, and then I head up north into northern Utah. There's about 3 or 4 million people there. There's a bunch of really huge thrift stores. So I'll go up north once or twice, about once or twice every 2 weeks, not quite weekly, but sometimes twice in 2 weeks. And I go up there and I usually spend a few $1,000s and try to get like 500 or 700 items to bring back down to process for a week and then go get another 500 or 700.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. Do you and a lot of people do the Goodwill bins. Did you
Yeah.
ever see that as part of your model, or were you just mainly going rogue and doing kind of the not unconventional, but just not the bins? Do you do that, or do you see you doing that in the future?
Yeah. So Vegas doesn't have like the best thrift stores.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that that's like kind of also like a myth, like, oh, my thrift stores suck. You can always find good situations everywhere you go. So I've found, of the huge city that is Las Vegas, I've found 3 thrift stores that I like. And so every time I go to Vegas, I hit those 3 thrift stores, and then I'll go spend 3 hours at the bins. And I get mostly hard goods from the bins, not clothing. Like, for example, there's this discontinued face mask after treatment or something from Garnier Nutrice that's discontinued. And I got like 3,500 of those bottles for $16, and I've been selling them 6 at a time for $30. So I've made a few $1,000s off that, and I'll keep making a few $1,000s off of that.
Beautiful thing. Do you think that there's a big opportunity with buying storage units? I've just recently got back into it, and I've had my life literally transformed through buying that way. Do you think people should at least give it a shot? I know it's not as easy because there's a lot of work into it, but what do you think for maybe a 1 year type of reseller? Did they think you think they should get involved into that, or what do you think?
Yeah, so I think it should be an ease of process. I've never done day trading, but a lot of people say you should never invest more than 2% of your income. So if you have like $1,000 and you want to do a day trade, you should only do $20. And then if it goes up 7,000%, now you have $180, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have put in 1,000. But a lot of times you put in your $20, and then it goes to 0, or it goes to 38 cents. So with storage units, just like every principle in life, I think you should ease into it. I would start off with a $25 unit, and then maybe buy 2 $25 units, and then buy a $100 unit, then buy a couple $100 units, and then just keep getting your braces up. Because a 10 by 20 unit that has rats and cigarettes and everything has water damage, you just kind of spent $200 to throw away people's trash for them. So there's a lot of risks that are involved with that, with every single industry in the workforce. So just build in slowly. I actually have 3 or 4 storage unit contacts that they buy storage units regularly. That's how they make a living. And then things that they don't like to sell that I do, I just take those off their hands for them. I'm actually heading over to one of my contacts tonight at 6 p.m. I think we mentioned that in this podcast already. He's got a big box for me. And that's another revenue stream if you decide to do, storage units. You can sell things yourself, and you can also hop onto Facebook local pages and say, hey guys, I buy storage units. I'm mostly focused on furniture. Do any of you guys buy shirts? Do any of you guys buy electronics? Do any of you guys buy sports cards? And there's tons of income streams. So yeah, I think that there are a lot of dangers to storage units, and I think there's also a ton of upside. So just like anything in life, you got to go into it with the right perspective and the right system. But yeah, I think people can definitely make money from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just another alternative way. And yeah, you said right. Don't invest what you can't afford to lose. Right. Don't want to be, I bought $10,000 worth of storage units, and then sometimes you don't know, it could be literally someone's trash.
Yep.
And then you're wondering, why did this person store trash and pay? I like a couple weeks ago, I bought a unit for $40, and it had clothes, but then 30% of it was bags of actual trash. So then you're wondering, like, what is going on in the world? But do you use a particular site? I use Storage Treasures for looking at storage units. Do you use any one website you like, or?
Yeah, so like I said, I don't buy storage units myself, but I've just gone on to Facebook groups and said, hey, does anyone buy storage units for a living? I'd love to connect. I have an eBay shop. Or on Facebook Marketplace, I'll see that someone's selling 80 articles of clothing that, like, you can see that not their size from their profile picture. So I'm like, hey, do you, like, are these your clothes, or how'd you get them? And they're like, oh, I buy storage units. I'm like, sweet, yeah, let's. I'll be your guy on the things that you want to offload.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I actually like that a little bit more. Just developing with relationships with people that are already doing it. And usually clothing is they're looking for gold antiques and things like that, not Tommy Bahama button-ups. But just going through the questions real fast because I don't want to take up all your time. But Julie asks, why aren't you using coupons? She thought it could help with the algorithm.
Yep. So just going back to the algorithm psychology thing that we've been talking about throughout. I'm comfortable selling 21 items a day, and I don't need to sell 36 of them at 50% off or 20% off. So I'm just comfortable with where my numbers are right now. And then I do use coupons when I want to sell things that aren't particularly selling. So, and then you also have to factor in, like, if you're going to send out a $5 coupon to please the algorithm, it's not going to please your audience. Like, no one buys. If you go into Walmart looking for shoes that are $40 and you see that they're 5% off, so you save $2, it's not going to move the needle. But if they're 40% off, then you'd be like, oh, this is a great deal, I'm going to buy them. So don't use coupons for the algorithm, use them for your customers. If you have a golf club and it's golf season, and this is how like Walmart and Target use coupons too. It's like selling things that are going out of season or selling things that are coming into season. So like, oh, it's golf season. You're going to buy a Cobra King driver that costs $280. You're going to buy it no matter what, but I want you to buy mine. So here's a 20% off coupon, buy mine. That's how I would use coupons. I don't use them for the algorithm or anything like that.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, just look at what the big box chains are doing, and there's a reason why they're billion-dollar companies, right? June asks, I can never get anything to sell on Mercari. Should I price a lot lower than I would on eBay? Is it better to charge shipping or offer free shipping? So yeah, what would you do?
Yeah. So again, I'm just a 27-year-old guy, and I try to answer with wisdom, even though I don't have a ton of experience. But the answer that I would give to that, again, is going back to your customers. What kind of people shop on eBay? What kind of people shop on Mercari? Mercari isn't super known. So it's people that are watching Snapchat. It's people that are watching YouTube videos, a significantly younger demographic. So I don't know these numbers, but I would assume that more than half of people that shop on Mercari are younger than 30. And more than 80% of people that are under 30 don't have what's called disposable income. So if I were to sell things on Mercari, I would probably list them for cheaper than I would on eBay. So I don't want to answer your question with knowledge. I want to answer it with wisdom. I want to kind of push you to think, why are they not selling on Mercari for less? And don't look at it from an algorithm like, okay, what do I need to plug in? But you should be thinking, okay, why aren't they selling on Mercari? It's probably because of these, and then fix that instead of just marking it down $5. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense. And the greatest question in life is why?
Mm-hmm.
Why for everything? Why? Doesn't matter.
And also,
what.
I'm not sure about the Mercari free shipping, but on eBay, I don't do free shipping because there's these things called seller protections on eBay. So if people do fraudulent returns, you're able to withhold shipping and things like that. So that's why I never do free shipping.
Same here. Same here. Rachel, what's going on? What's going on in East Tennessee? Here it's beautiful there. Eddie says, do you ever drop the price on items individually, or do you just do a blanket markdown?
Yeah, with 2,300 items, hoping to get to 3,000, sourcing and processing 70 a day-ish. I'm just doing blanket. Just keeps my life simpler.
Same here, yeah. Jamie says, me, I'm just here on Earth. We here on Earth. Rachel asks, so what morals in Jesus is the way to be? If someone has a problem with that, do you really need them in your life? From my point of view is that I love everybody. I don't care if they hate me because I don't get my value from humans. I don't get my image from humans. I don't need people to tell me who I am. So when you're rooted in your identity, people are just you love them all. I love them all. I love everyone. I love the people who hate when I tell the secrets. I love the people who are I'm helping. I love everybody. So, how do you kind of see that, and is from like your mindset when you're sharing things like your faith and stuff?
Yeah. So like I said, you're not for everyone, so you can't pay attention to what people think of you. Especially like you and I, for example, we hop on here and on YouTube in front of thousands, tens of thousands, hopefully one day millions. And there's going to be people that hate your voice, that hate my hair, that hate the way I think about something, and they're going to put it in the comments, and it just doesn't matter. So there's a balance of like one principle that I've learned is care enough to not care. So like one of my goals in life is to be the same person I am in front of my wife, in front of my mom, in front of, if Jesus were to come down and visit me, in front of the president, in front of my friends from high school. I want to be that same person in front of everyone, which is tough because we all kind of change a little bit. But it again, like back to my wife says, I have this superpower. I just really don't care what people think about me. But at the same time, I want to be a person that the majority of people would be inspired by or like. So I'm constantly trying to be the best person I can be. But if someone doesn't think that I'm the best person I could be, it just sucks for them. Just move on.
Yeah, it's I think one of the coolest things is just always character development, just working on your character and try to be as consistent when you say something, you do it. You don't want to just be known as a bad character, right? And it's tough to really get discipline into forming to be a good character person. If you want to be a leader, it has to not secular leader. Because you could be a leader in power and have terrible character, right?
Exactly.
But as far as like good character from a godly perspective, how that opens up so much potential for your life because you're not distracted by the outside things coming. So yeah, character is a big thing for me, and it's a constant process. We're never a finished product, it's a constant refinement. But so I linked all your stuff down below, your Instagram, your YouTube channel. How can people like get a hold of you if they had like a question? Where's the best way? Email, Instagram?
Yep. So I have an email. It's jrideflips@gmail.com. It's in my channel banner and all that good stuff. A lot of people reach out to me on Instagram as well. I'm actually like surprised with how many people want to talk to someone that only has 5,000 subscribers. But that's my favorite. It's my favorite part of YouTube is helping people. So definitely reach out to me. The easiest way is definitely through my email. I've also in like years ago, I used to build Twitter and Instagram accounts and then sell them to girls that wanted to be famous. And they just like delete the name and delete the bio and add their own. Mm-hmm. And the more and more followers you get, the more and more restrictions Instagram applies to your account because like Kim Kardashian, for example, probably gets like 32,000 DMs every hour. So like she's obviously not going to see all those. The majority of them get hidden. And then the more followers that someone has, the more you can see that message. So like a lot of people that try to message me, they only have 48 followers, and it goes to a hidden folder on Instagram that I have to actively seek out. So if you want to get a hold of me, just through email jrideflips@gmail.com.
I've noticed that too, and I hardly check Instagram, but there was that like request tab, and I had like 18 unread messages. I felt really bad because these people were like, "Hey, I watched your video," and they had a question, and so sorry, but yeah, email is the best way. Lasting piece of advice for maybe people who are on the fence about reselling, and maybe they don't have any experience reselling, but they want to start a reselling business. What would you say? Start here. What would you?
Yeah, I'm actually going to make a video about this soon. Honestly, I just view eBay as a glitch in the matrix. The barrier to entry is tiny. You just need a smartphone and something to sell. You don't have to invest a ton of money to start on eBay. You don't have to invest any money if you already have a cell phone and a cool watch that you can sell. That goes for any product. But yeah, so just realize that eBay is a glitch in the matrix. Low barrier to entry. Like I talked about, all these brands have done all the work for you to make amazing products for you to pick up for $1. eBay does all the work for you, getting people to your items and selling them. the margins are quite frankly disgusting. They're just so good. So even like, I think like the lowest margin I've ever heard someone selling used items on eBay is like 25%, and Walmart operates on a 1.5% margin. So every $100 they make, they only take home $1.50. So so yeah, it's just do it. Like just get over the hardships. There's hardships in every single job, every single industry. Everything worthwhile is hard, and this is the easiest hard thing I've ever done. So just learn from YouTubers, learn from Google, learn from eBay themselves. This is an awesome opportunity for everyone. I think more people should sell on eBay, and I don't think that eBay is saturated against popular belief.
Yeah. Go look at e-commerce trends, and then just go look at the chart for the last 20 years. It's an uptrend. So
Yep.
yeah, things are awesome. So it was really good talking with you. If you guys are catching this on the replay, consider subscribing. We do this every week, interviewing other resellers, getting their strategies and tips on what they're doing. We do that so you can apply some of these tips, and maybe it can take your business to the next level. So I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have a blessed day, and take care.